Travis Thomas, welcome back to the Mindset Advantage podcast. You were on the show a year or two ago. One of my favorite conversations I've ever done in 7 years. So I'm excited to have you back for round two today. Thanks for being here.
DJ, I appreciate it. I mean, I wrote another book just so you would have me back on the show.
Let's dive in. The new book is great. I had a chance to read it. Such an easy read. It's called Confidence is Overrated: Why Courage is the Antidote and Feelings Makes Cowards of Us All. Sometimes I like starting conversations in a very obvious way. So that's what I'm going to do today. The question for you to lead off today's conversation is, Travis, why is confidence overrated?
Actually, it's not. I just wanted to put a title in there that would get people by the book, DJ. No, it's proper. No, actually, no, it is. It is. Here's the thing. Confidence is overrated because DJ, I feel, I'm over 50 now, and I still get asked all of the time by coaches, by parents, by adults, hey, do you have any tips of how I can be more confident? And when parents and coaches reach out, they're like, "Hey, can you help, help my child be more confident?" And and I understand exactly where they're coming from when I get that question because that's how I felt growing up. Then the messaging, right? 'Cause DJ, this all goes back to the messaging. The messaging we have all been told since we were children and to the adults is that you cannot perform at a high level unless you are confident. And that's just not true. Confidence feels good. Confidence can allow us to perform at a high level, but it is not an essential ingredient to high performance. Why, DJ? Because confidence is a feeling. Confidence is a feeling. Performance is about action and execution. And so when we feed this narrative that you have to feel a certain way to perform a certain way, we are putting the point of emphasis on the wrong thing. So we're putting the point of emphasis on a feeling. Feelings don't drive behaviors, actions do. Feelings don't drive outcomes, actions do. So what we need to do is shift the narrative away from confidence as a feeling, just like I wouldn't say that that uh, that frustration is the key to success, because that's just a feeling too. Anger is a feeling. All of these feelings are feelings, and there's nothing wrong with feelings. They're valid. We all have them, but they are not the determining factor in our performance. What is? Our actions and our behaviors. And so, just like in the book, DJ, and just like when a coach or a parent asks me, can I help their child with confidence? I immediately come back with, yeah, I think I've got some ideas I can help with because I can. But then I go, hey, has your child ever been super confident before a game and played really poorly? And oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes he gets overconfident or some, right? Okay. I said, all right, has your child ever been really nervous before a game and played really well? They're like, yeah, sure. Sometimes he gets really nervous, but he goes out there and he plays really well. So why are we so focused on confidence? And then, my good friend Trevor Moawad, from co-founded Limitless Minds, one of the best, brain coaches in the world, who we lost a few years ago. His whole point was feelings don't predict performance, behaviors do. And so this whole book, DJ, was like, hey, like, trust me, like, I'm still a performer. I get on stage a couple of times a year and do my thing. Would I rather feel confident when I step out there? Absolutely. But whether I feel confident, whether I don't feel confident, I know that that's not going to predict how I'm going to do on stage. It's, am I focused on the right actions and behaviors that are going to lead to a good performance? So confidence feels better, I get it, but it doesn't mean that we're going to perform better.
There's so many threads that I want to pull. I'm so excited. And you and I see this very clearly. I like to always say that confidence is a choice. We can choose confidence. But you've kind of reframed my thinking a little bit, Travis. And you use the word courageous. We want to
Mhm.
be courageous. We want to have courage instead of confidence. Why that word? And what's the difference between those two?
Yeah, and honestly, DJ, I think they're almost kind of polar opposites in a lot of ways. And I start the book off with the question, right? Would you rather be fearless or courageous? Right? I grew up DJ, there was like these cheesy, this is the No Fear brand, like in the 80s and 90s. You'd see these No Fear stickers everywhere, right? And I grew up with coaches who are like, guys, there's nothing to be afraid of. Go out there and be fearless today. And then they would immediately say, be brave, play with a lot of courage. And I never thought about it, right? It just interchange, they were just all interchangeable. Fearlessness and courage, bravery, and well, wait a second. What is courage? How do you define courage? How do you define bravery? Well, what is the essential ingredient in courage in order to be courage? There's fear, right? You're not courageous if you're comfortable and confident. That the reason courage and bravery is so noble is because you're willing to do the difficult, uncomfortable thing, even if you're afraid and nervous. But why are you doing it? Because it's the right thing and it needs to be done. So I'm willing to have courage. I'm willing to go for it, even though I know that things might not go well. I might not win, right? You think about how we think about bravery and courage from a war standpoint, right? As people who are putting their life on the line, they're running into battle, they're running into the fire, they're not running into that with confidence. They're running in with courage. They're running in with bravery despite how they are feeling. And so when we use fearlessness and courage interchangeable or even use them the same, we're sending mixed messages. And so as a parent, right, would I rather have my children grow up to be courageous or fearless? Uh, Give me courage every time. Because courage means that we're constantly willing to get outside of our comfort zone in order to grow, in order to do what needs to be done. Recognizing that it's going to be uncomfortable, but also recognizing that none of us achieve anything, we don't grow or achieve anything substantial in life by staying comfortable or only going once I'm confident. Well, how do I get confident? I get confident by doing the uncomfortable thing. And by doing the uncomfortable thing, I start to get some experience. I get my reps. I figure it out. I improve. I get better. I master it. And now, usually, that confidence comes in. There's the confidence. Oh, well, where was it? It was after the discomfort and the work and the courage. So I needed to be courageous in order for that confidence to come after I was willing to do the scary thing. And now that I'm comfortable and confident, what do I need to do? I need to get uncomfortable again because I need to stretch. And so as leaders, as coaches, as parents, if we can shift away from it, hey guys, we need to be confident if we're going to go out there today. No, hey, and this is what's so important, I think, today, DJ, as as we're giving more time and more compassion to mental health, which is when you give someone permission to feel whatever they're feeling without judgment around it. Hey, I'm nervous today. Well, you shouldn't be nervous, right? We completely invalidate someone's feel. Why are you nervous today? We beat these guys last week. Okay, but shoot, I'm not supposed to be nervous. What's wrong with me? What's wrong? Now, the person or the player, they immediately go, "Oh, I am feeling this and I'm not supposed to be feeling this. Therefore, there must be something wrong with me." And now I'm really in trouble if I think I'm going to go out there and perform well, right? Coach just said I shouldn't be nervous and I am nervous. I shouldn't be afraid and I am afraid. Well, clearly there's something wrong with me. But if we recognize a feeling is just a feeling, just like feelings are clouds, they come and they go, and they don't have to stick. We don't have to attach. We don't have to give them more value than they have. It's just a feeling. And it's like, oh, okay, hey. And then if we're curious and if we're empathic as coaches, teachers, and leaders, and we say, hey, all right, hey, you're feeling nervous today. Okay, yeah, hey, tell me about it. What's going on? What are you thinking about? Right? What do you think? Oh, well, coach, if we don't beat these guys, like we're not going to qualify for sectionals, or we're not going to get out of our group, or oh, okay, yeah, totally understand. Hey, is that not a normal feeling? Right? I'm nervous about a result and how it's going to impact me. Wouldn't that be a normal feeling to have some? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, oh yeah, that's totally understandable. Hey, and now as a coach or teacher, we go, hey, listen, I totally get that. Yeah, this is an important game. It does mean a lot. Hey, but hey, if we bring our attention back to where we are and back to the game, And your role is so important in this team. What do you think, what are the important things that you add to this team that you're going to do today that's going to help us be successful? Right? Hey, you're a point guard, or hey, you're a center forward, or hey, you're, whatever you're, hey, what are the things that you need to focus on? Oh, I need to focus on, right? I need to focus on boxing out on my rebounds, right? I need to focus on, you know, denying her and making her go left. Or I need to be a good communicator. And so now we shift the conversation away from the feelings, which are valid. Remember, we're not changing the feelings. We're just shifting them away from, hey, okay, that's how you feel. That's understandable. Now let's focus on what you need to do. And as we can shift their focus away from feelings into actions and behaviors, we're now giving them a sense of freedom and peace because they have clarity. They have clarity in, oh, this is what I have to do. If I just focus on what I have to do, I'm less focused on how I feel. And now we drive focus that is towards behavior and towards action. And coaches and teachers, right? We can then that pregame speech and all the words that we say, we can still tap into the emotional aspect, of the competition. But what we want the takeaway to be is, are they focused on the right actions and behaviors? Because that's what's going to dictate the outcome.
Man, I love it. I also think there's a lot of ways that we can use those nerves to our advantage. I had
Mm.
Ashley Merriman on my podcast. She wrote the book, The Science of Winning and Losing. And
Oh
she
yeah,
talked about this idea of, I don't know if you read the book or not, it's fantastic, but she talked about this idea of, if we're feeling nervous before a game, or performance, it usually comes down to one of three things.
Mm.
One, I'm nervous about my body. Like, can I handle this?
Yeah,
Two is the uncertainty or the outcome. And then three, another component that people miss out on, or maybe I should say that I miss out on, is I'm not sure my teammates trust me or my coaches trust me. She said, usually it's in one of those three areas. And so if
yeah,
you kind of dive a little bit deeper as a coach, parent, mental performance coach, hey, what is getting you nervous? It's usually going to be one of those three. And some of it you're not going to be able to fix right now. Like if they're like,
no,
hey, I don't really feel comfortable with all the plays. It's like, okay, well, at least we have answers moving forward on what you need to do. So instead
yeah,
of just saying you're nervous and like being like, oh, you're fine, just like you got to go rub some dirt on, jump in. Well, let's find out why, because you're going to be able to get some insight into it. And usually it comes down to like either preparation or I don't know I don't have a good relationship with my teammates, or I'm just not sure if my body's ready for this.
yeah, yeah. I love that breakdown. So you have kind of like nerves around your kind of physical well-being, the outcome, or not maybe not being trusted by your teammates.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I definitely the second one I think is probably what I probably focus on most in the book. But I think the first and the third one are super important as well. Take that first one, for example, physical well-being. Imagine, my son goes to a smaller private school here. He's a soccer player. They had a really good soccer season. The football team, like they struggle to get enough kids on the roster, right? And so they're going up against some monster schools, right? And my brother-in-law, who's actually one of the coaches, like he spends probably 90% of his time as a coach building courage, right? Building courage. It would be silly for him to stand in front of his players and say, guys, there's nothing to be afraid of. You've got right. It's like you look at these monsters and like you standing like, hey, nothing to be afraid of. Like, go out. Like, what are you talking about, coach? These guys are huge. So what do you do? Like, yeah, you can look at the obvious and say, yeah, hey, this is going to be a tough battle today. Our our goal is to see how far we can push ourselves, right? And then you can work, on an individual basis. I even do this, I've done this with soccer players because this is what I needed, DJ, when I was younger. It's what I needed in college. Like I struggled with the physical aspect of the game. All right. I'm a tall, lanky, midfielder I felt like my legs were exposed for days. And so I was like going into battles. I felt like I was a pretzel going into a battle against, a landmine. And so I struggled with the physical component of the game. And so I was being preached at like you need to be an animal. There's nothing to be afraid of going. And I'm like, I just like the wires, I couldn't get there. But as I've worked with players over the years, Stage, he's like, hey, listen, hey, and then he's like, hey, is it important for you to, to be a physical player out there that can win tackles and battles? And the player's going to say, well, yeah, it's important. I was like, hey, man, I totally get it. I understand you're a little nervous. I was like, hey, for the first half today, um, how many times do you think you can challenge for a 50-50 ball? Or how many tackles are you going to try to go in and win today? Right? In my head as a coach, I might be like, I need him winning five a half. But like if I can get him to go in and win two or three in the first half, and that's going to push him beyond his comfort zone, but it's going to build some confidence in the process where it's keeping the growth small enough, but it's moving the needle. And so I think we're not minimizing saying, yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of. Yes, right? Your physical state, yeah, I totally get it. That's why. But listen, hey, can you get in there? Can you get in there once or twice? And what happens to the player when they get in there once or twice as a coach? You celebrate it. Great job. Yeah, next one, another one. And they start to feel that emotional boost. Oh, hey, I can do this. And they get in and they do another one. When they come off and at halftime, oh, hey, how many did you do? I did three. Amazing. Amazing. See? All right, hey, second half. Think we can get four? Think we can get four in the second half? So you're not invalidating their feelings. You're not insulting them for feeling a certain way. You're figuring out where they are, and you're how can what's that comfort zone, that growth zone look like for them? And for another player, it's like, hey, I need you to take your foot off the gas a little bit, right? You're going to get ejected from the game, right? So I need you. So it's finding what, but it's never invalidating what they're feeling. Why would you invalidate someone's feelings? It's their feelings. They feel the way that they feel. We can try to understand where they're coming from, and in the process of doing that, they're going to feel better. But if we're in the process of changing feelings, it's we're heading down the wrong road, and it's only going to make things worse.
So instead of relying on feelings, we want to rely on behaviors and actions. One of the actions that you've already talked about is getting uncomfortable, often going through hard things. That's going to give you that body armor. The
Yeah.
book is full of them. What's another behavior or action that athletes should be taking to build their courage?
Yeah. Well, actually, I know DJ, we laughed about it a little bit before starting, but I want to do an activity with you,
Oh
and
man.
then and then after the activity, hopefully this will describe what you're asking.
Okay,
And
this
so
was not
this
planned, by the way. This was not
no, no,
planned.
no, of course not, right? This is an improviser. I'm not going to plan you. I'm going to prep you for it. All right, so DJ, what's going to happen? This is super, super simple. So I'm going to say a word to you, and I just want you to, whatever word comes to you, respond with the first word that pops in your head,
Okay.
which then I will respond to the first word that pops in my head off of your words. So we're just going back and forth. The goal is not to think, the goal is just to respond. There is no wrong answer. And obviously, right, this is your podcast, so keep it as appropriate as you want to keep it. But outside of that, right, so just respond, don't think. Make sense?
All right, I'm ready. My heart's
All right.
racing.
Whew, here we go. All right, heartbeat going. Here we go. First, banana.
Yellow.
Uh, Dortmund.
Harvey.
Dent.
Batman.
Robin.
Hood.
Hero.
Hercules.
Muscles.
You.
Weak.
Strong.
Universe.
Galaxy.
Stars.
Wars.
Fight.
Combat.
Helmet.
Football.
Run.
Usain Bolt.
Fast.
Lightning.
Strike.
Baseball.
Pitch.
Pitcher.
Arm.
Muscle.
Flex.
Basketball.
Dribble.
Ball.
Round.
Golf.
Swing.
Playground.
Gym. Gym.
Weights.
Lift.
Heavy.
Metal.
Rock.
Paper.
Scissors.
We'll end it right there. That's a good ending. Little rock, paper, scissors. I'm like, if he doesn't say scissors, something's wrong here. All right, DJ. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
I like the eyes closed for focus
Yeah,
too.
I had to.
All right. Describe how you feel right now. The feelings that you have.
Well, that was fun. I feel happy. I feel some laughter.
Yeah.
It was good to just do something a little goofy.
Yeah. Did you feel the pressure?
In the beginning maybe,
Yeah.
but maybe it wore off as I went a little bit.
Yeah. So there was, yeah, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of urgency.
Hmm.
So we were going for speed.
Hmm.
A little silly, a little fun. Do you feel focused?
I did at the time for sure.
Yeah. Engaged?
Yeah, locked in.
Yeah. Were you thinking about a lot of things or a few things?
I was just trying to think about as fast as get my answer as fast as I could.
Yeah. So yeah. So like a very simply focused.
Yes,
Yeah. Were you thinking about what we were talking about 5 minutes ago?
no chance.
Were you thinking about what your next question's going to be?
No, I was thinking about what you might say next though.
So you're anticipating that a little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So you were, for all intents and purposes, right? You were present,
Right.
right? You were in the moment. So
That's right.
even though you're juggling actually a lot of things right now, as facilitating this podcast, and you've got a lot of things that are going on around you and thinking about a lot of things during that activity, it forced you just to get really present with what you were doing and responding to the immediate need of right now,
Mhm.
right? Because where you had to, because if you were thinking about anything else, you were going to make a mistake, right? You were going to miss something if you were thinking about anything else. So in all of this, when we think about what are tools, what are ideas, what are concepts that we can do to help athletes when we can help. So think about it. Um, when I am fully engaged in what I'm doing and focused on responding to what is happening, I'm focused on the present moment. What I'm focused on is my response to the present moment. What do I do to respond to this new reality? What I'm less focused on is how I feel. I'm not focused on what's going to happen. I'm not distracted by what did happen. I'm fully engaged and focused on the present moment because where is life being lived? Right
Right
here and
here.
right now. Where is the game of sports being played?
Right here.
In the present moment.
Hmm.
Where is the only place that I can ever have impact?
To the present.
Right here, right now. So when we think about where does pressure come from when an athlete feels pressure, I'll simplify it here, but it's typically thinking about a negative outcome or thinking about a past negative outcome. And I'm bringing that negativity to the present moment because I'm thinking about something that could happen or has happened, which is impacting what is happening. So the pressure is actually thinking about something that's not in the present moment, right? And so when I feel a sense of confidence, right, it's usually because I'm excited because I'm anticipating that I'm going to do well. Therefore, the outcome is going to be a favorable outcome. But what both of those have in common is that they're feelings that are focused outside of the present moment. Yet the only place that the game is played is now. And so anything that distracts me from the present moment is exactly that. It's a distraction. And so when do we make mistakes? When we're not engaged in the present moment. Oh, that was a great pass I made or a great assist I had 5 minutes ago, and I'm still thinking about it. And then shoot, I'm not focused on what's happening. Or that bad play that I made. I can't believe I made that bad play. Oh, shoot, I make another bad play. Why? Because I was thinking about the previous bad play. Or, oh my gosh, we're up 1-0. I can't believe we're beating these guys. This is our crosstown rivals. There's only 5 minutes left. Oh man, there's only 5 minutes left, and we're going to beat these guys. We're going to beat these guys. All of a sudden, boom, what happens? We shift our thought to the future, or we get stuck in the past. And all that work that we did just being in the present and owning and winning the moment and winning the moment and winning the moment shifts to leaving the moment because we're distracted by the past or the future. And so if we recognize, we understand that performance is always in the present. right? Our performance is always in the present. And so what do I need to do? I need to bring my attention back to the present moment. And if I go back to, well, what were the actions or behaviors I knew that I had to do to have a good game? Boom, that's what I refocus on, which is in the present moment. And now I'm locked in. Right? For soccer players, DJ, I'll give them the analogy. I'll say, hey, the ball is always in the present moment. The ball's never in the past or the future. So if you focus on the ball and you respond to what you respond accordingly to the ball, well, the ball is here, I need to shift. Well, the ball is here, I need to go win it. The ball is here, I need to go. Or whatever the sport is, hockey, it's the puck, right? Whatever the thing that's happening, that's in the present moment. Now I'm just responding to where is the ball? Where do I need to be? Right? Okay, now it's over here. What do I need to do? And that keeps us action focused, not feeling focused. And so anything, so what I'm doing more often than not, DJ, with athletes these days is helping them create create a mental plan, creating triggers that helps them come back to the present moment when they get distracted, not if they get distracted.
I love that. I think in my experience working with athletes that are feeling those nerves, Travis, it's usually not in the game. Usually it's, hey, once I get my first hit, I'm good. I get into a flow state. Once we start
Yeah,
getting in this game, we're good and we're going. It's the hours leading up to the game that is I don't
yeah,
want to be in the present moment because right now this is uncomfortable for me. And I
yeah,
would love for
yeah,
you, one of my favorite parts of the book is your story about your karate story and about making the complex simple. I thought this was
yeah.
really cool. I read it twice. I thought it was awesome. And I think this idea will help athletes when it comes to that pregame moment. So if I could tee up, could you tell that story and then maybe we go through that strategy for more of the pregame?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that it just goes to show how I've never really talked about that story, DJ, because like with family and friends, they're like, "You won a karate tournament?" Like, like, and not only, I guess I should be a little bit insulted because, but at the same time, I'm self-aware enough to go that I'm the farthest thing away from someone going like, "You won a karate tournament?" And so yeah, I think I was 14 years old. My dad knew the guy who ran this studio. And he signed me. He goes, "Hey, you want to, yeah, like soccer, he'll help you with soccer and strength and kicks and everything." I was like, "Hey, yeah." So I started, taking classes 2 or 3 times a week, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great environment. The instructor, the sensei, was a really great guy, a younger guy. And I love the camaraderie of the group. And I love, for me, again, not a really physical guy. It was outside of my comfort zone, but when you would spar and stuff, and it was exciting, but it felt safe enough, but it was still exciting. And I was just, enjoying the process. And I would say probably 4 months, 4 months into it, the instructor came to my parents and said, "Hey, there's a karate tournament on the other side of the state, and I think it would be great for Travis to experience it, to go through because you have the katas, which is kind of like a rehearsed routine that you do for judges, right? So again, it's like, hey, it'll be a good experience for him to do that, feel the pressure, know how to do that. But then there's the sparring tournament as well. Like you kind of get put into the group that your age and skill level. But this was a smaller tournament, so there was only two skill groups. It was like beginner to intermediate and then advanced, right? And so he told my parents, like, listen, hey, this is going to be about him having an experience. Don't even worry about coming, right? It was like a 3.5 hour drive. So my parents, who came to all of my events growing up, they're like, oh, okay, hey, go have a good time. So I go over there, I do my kata, and I guess I didn't do a good enough. I didn't get first, second, or third, right? So I didn't get anything there. And now it was time to fight, right? It was a sparring tournament, so I was a white belt, right? Everyone knows what a white belt is, and I think I was beginning intermediate. So I'm fighting kids who are like white, yellow, blue, green, maybe purple, and then the advanced was brown and black, right? So I'm fighting, literally fighting outside my skill level. And so, and like I'm not a fighter. So I'm already like nervous as can be. First time competing in fighting, going up against people that I know they're better than I am. And so I'm sure survival was what I was thinking. Don't get hurt, survive. And my instructor comes up to me before my first fight and he grabs my gloves, right? And he looks me in the eye and he goes, Travis, he's at this North Carolina Southern twang. He's like, Travis, listen, man. He goes, I just want you to focus on two things. Just focus on two things. He goes, you're not going to do any kicking. And I loved Karate Kid. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not going to do any kicking? I've been karate tournament, no kicking. He goes, listen, I just want you to do two things. Focus on two things. Let them come to you, whether they punch or kick. You're just going to block, right? Block. And as soon as you block, you're going to open them up, punch to the chest. That's how you score points. Block and punch. He's like, Travis, block and punch. All I want you to do. He didn't want me going on the attack. He didn't want me, wait, wait, wait. Here they come, block and punch. First fight, kid comes in twice. I block and punch. I win the fight, right? I get my 2 points. I'm like, holy cow, can't believe I can't. And so, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm DJ. I'm only focused on two things the entire tournament. Blocking. I think I threw one kick at one point and nothing happened. I was like, all right, Travis, block and punch. And so, I mean, before you know it, I'm in the fourth fight. I'm in the final. And then I'm so focused on block and punching that I block and punch. And I look to him and he's like got this look of, I can't believe you just won. And I'm like, what? And they're bringing me this giant trophy out, way too big for the event, right? Way too big. This giant, and they're like, I'm like, what do you mean I won? Like I won, like, I won this tournament. And the funny thing is that, I stayed in karate for like a year. I probably competed in three more tournaments. I went for, I think I got up to a blue belt, maybe a green belt. I fought in numerous tournaments, never won another tournament. And the genius of Bruce Loudermilk was his name. The genius of that didn't hit me until I was writing this book. Was it what was it that was so powerful about that moment? He had my full attention. I had zero confidence that I could do anything. And he just made the complex simple. He made the big small by saying, listen, man, I just want you to focus on these two things. Was it a feeling? Was it an outcome? No, it was block. That's a behavior. Punch. That's another action. And as a result of that simplicity, it allowed me to be so focused and single-minded on what I was doing that I was able to win the stinking tournament.
Man, I love that story and I love the strategy. Sean Casey is a former MLB baseball player,
Mhm.
13-year career 300 hitter. Friend of mine's been on the podcast. He talked to me about this strategy called Three Keys to Keep It Simple. And Harvey Dorfman, who wrote ABCs of Baseball, he showed it to him. He'd go up to the plate in the major leagues, right? 13 years. And before he come up to the plate, he has a note card in his back pocket. And in the note card, it had three words or three ways to keep it simple. See the ball, be easy, hammer it. He'd
Mm.
read it twice, permanent black marker, he'd read it twice, put it back in his back pocket, step up to the plate. Career 300 hitter, one of the best of all time. So I've been taking that strategy of three keys to keep it simple. Last weekend, I was working with a wrestler who was in a big match, and first was, hey, let's reframe it. It's not a big match; it's just another match. I know it's an
Yeah,
important match, but sometimes
yeah,
the reframing is really important too.
yeah,
It's an important match, and it was a rematch on who is going to get the number one seed in section or something like that.
yeah,
The
yeah.
details don't matter. But I said, hey man, let's do this. He was extremely nervous, had a panic attack earlier at school. Let's reframe this, and let me tell you. Why don't you tell me what are your three keys to keep it simple? Like, what are the three things you got to remember tonight? Said, "Well, I think I gotta remember to hustle, to attack, and I gotta remember to have fun." So, okay, great.
Mm.
I need you to write
Yeah,
that down somewhere in your gym bag. I gotta
yep,
hustle, I gotta attack, I gotta have fun. And throughout the day, he was able to kind of shift instead of thinking about all the what ifs or thinking about everything else. It's exactly what you said in your story. Slow it down, three keys to keep it simple. He ended up winning
yeah,
the match.
yeah,
And so I think there's so much power in when we get nervous, we start thinking about so many things. Let's
yep.
boil it down into two or three and keep them as simple as possible so that when you are at the plate, when you are on the mat, when you are on the diving board, it's just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think a lot of times, DJ, whether it's coaches or teachers or parents, and I mean, this is in the corporate world as well, when it comes to sort of kind of creating goals and focuses for teams or, it's so easy. I've been in, halftime talks with coaches before or the pre-game talk, and they list 10 things. And here's the 10 things we need to do well today, or here's the five things we need to do well today. It's like, it's too many, right? If you're giving them five things, you're giving them zero things. But if we boil it down to here's the two or three most important things, now you've created that sense of clarity. When a player has freedom, you know, in their competition, that sense of freedom, what they have freedom is because they have clarity. And so once you have clarity of what I'm doing, now you can kind of shift off the thinking brain of trying to do 5 or 10 things. Now you turn off the thinking and you shift into the focused brain, which is focused on specific actions or behaviors. So you're giving them that simplicity to focus on what's most important because we can focus on 2 to 3 things. But anything bigger than that, now we're thinking about too much. We're in our head, we're out of the present moment, and it just becomes too much. And when just like anything, when we become flustered or overwhelmed, we slip back into our default mode, which is going back to whatever old habits we have that we're most comfortable with, which are probably not the ones that we need in that moment.
Mhm. Another piece that I've picked up on recently, I've had a session with a girls' gymnastics team and a girls' basketball team at the college level. And I do an activity, it's called Signal Lights. It's like, hey, when you're playing at your best, what's going well? What are you doing? When you're playing at your worst, what is your body language, your
Yeah.
focus, your
Yeah.
self-talk? And let's get some clarity on both of those. And what I've found is from both of those groups as of recent, what they told me was I'm performing my best, I'm feeling my best, and I'm on my most confident self when I'm the best teammate I can be. When
Love
I'm the
that.
one encouraging others, high-fiving others, I'm not thinking
Yeah.
about myself or my performance. I'm giving, I'm being a fountain, not a drain. That's
Yeah.
when I actually perform the best. So what I'm trying to do here, Travis, pull out these strategies and threads here. I think another one is to take the pressure off of yourself. Like
Yep.
when I go on stage, I try to think all the time. When I'm nervous, focus on service. I'm focusing on giving everything I can to everybody that's in front of me. I think that has some translation with athletes. Is how can you just be the best dang teammate you can be?
I love that. I love that. DJ, you need to turn that into, you need to brand that or turn that to a t-shirt. Service when you're nervous, man.
That's right.
That's beautiful, man. I love that. Yeah, I think in the book I talk about going external when external versus internal. And I think it's exactly that idea of, as soon as an athlete or someone or just in life, when things aren't going well for us or we're really kind of stuck in our stuff or navel gazing, all right, when we're just so focused on ourselves, we become so self-focused that we lose what's going on around us. And we lose connection to everyone and everything that's going around us. And so to your point, that going from nervous to service, if I'm going to serve, I have to be aware of what's going on around me. Well, who can I serve? Who's around me? And to your point, like if you're an athlete who's having a bad game, all right, okay, today is maybe my shot's not going or I'm not 100% today, but how can I help DJ, right? I'm going to have DJ's back. I'm going to make DJ look good. And we all know this, and this is why gratitude is such a powerful tool, not just emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically, is that when we express gratitude, it forces us to look at the things that are going right instead of being focused on what's not going right. And everything that powerful shift that happens as a result. And so when you switch into service or you switch into going external, now you're paying attention to everything going on around you, which again, if you're an athlete, that's where you want to be paying attention. You want to be paying attention to the important things that are happening around you instead of getting stuck in your own soup. And so that idea of, I still work with St. Louis University's men's team. And one of the ideas we talk about in all of our off-season kind of culture and mindset training is the question you can ask yourself every day you come in to training is, how can I be a good teammate today? And that goes for the injured athletes too, right? You've got guys who are recovering from injuries and they're maybe months away from playing. And the question is, how can I be a good teammate today? And if you're a captain, how can I be a good teammate today? And the answer might be different every day, but the focus is, hey, I still have the opportunity to help this team and to help my teammates because it's not just about how am I doing, but what can I do to help others?
How can parents listening help to raise more courageous kids?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the first thing, uh, uh, Um, the first thing they need to do, I want to say this gently, say this gently, because I'm as guilty as anybody. The lead up would be like my daughter's 22. She's graduating from St. Louis University this spring. I think probably when she was 13 or 14, she and I were having a fight. And she came to me, TJ, and she said, "Hey, Dad, for someone who teaches yes and, you sure like to say no." She's good like that. She's in social work. She's going to be a great social worker. Um, so the my point is, as coaches, as teachers, as parents, as leaders, do we model the behavior that we are asking of those that we lead? So if I'm a coach asking my players to be courageous, do I model that courage as a coach? And then just go, if I'm asking my players to be poised under pressure, calm under pressure, am I the coach that's stomping on the sidelines? Am I the coach that's yelling at the referees and parents on the sidelines, same way? Teachers in the classroom, do we model the behaviors that we're asking of the people that we lead? Because we know this. People don't pay attention to what we say, they follow what we do. And so my wife and I think we know that all right, we if we want our kids to take certain behaviors from us, we need to model those behaviors. And so it can be very humbling, but the first response, DJ, would be, are we am I modeling that behavior myself? Because if not, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite by asking and not doing. And then I think secondly, when we think about right, when we think about courage, how can we help kids, athletes, students just be more courageous? It's obviously we get a whole longer conversation. We need to reframe what failure is, right? So we need to almost kind of, hey, we know that doing anything new or uncomfortable is going to come with failure. So how do I, as a coach or parent, respond when a player or a student gets it wrong? Okay. And so if we use all of those as productive learning experiences, they're going to start to treat failure differently. So courage is going to be less of an issue. Why are we afraid to do something? Because we're afraid of screwing up and the consequences that come with screwing up. Well, now if I'm in an environment, if I'm in a team environment or a school environment where, yeah, of course we're all going to screw up. Let's get going. Let's get going. We're not trying to screw up, but we know that's a part of the process. That completely changes my relationship with failure. And so asking ourselves, hey, how do I respond to a player when they make a mistake on the field? Okay, maybe I need to work on that. And then I think the other thing, DJ, and what I was trying to do with our word toss activity is um, when we don't get distracted by the outcomes, or we don't become obsessed with the outcomes. Courage is about growth. Yes, there's an outcome we're trying to achieve, but at the end of the day, courage is about growth. And so, my one son, he runs in college cross country and track. Sometimes when he's down, he'll be like, "Hey, Dad, like I don't get it. Some guys don't have to work as hard as I do." And so, we all know those conversations. And I was like, "Yeah, okay." Like life isn't an equal playing ground. Like there's genetics and there's all this stuff that goes into performance. And hey, buddy, I'm pretty sure that you probably have some natural gifts in certain areas and other people have natural gifts. At the end of the day, it's that comparison game. It's not you comparing yourself to others. It's about courage is all about if I'm going to grow and get better at anything, it's about what am I doing today, right, to get outside my comfort zone, have that courage, learn, get better, repeat, do it tomorrow because I'm just pushing myself to the highest level of what is possible for me, and trying to not get overly distracted with the comparison and with the outcomes, which sounds super simple, but we know it's just not easy.
I'd love for you to take me back to a time. So, for the listeners, you worked with the U.S. National soccer team for a few years. Can you take me to a time, perhaps before a game? I'm imagining, like, because this has happened to me before. Stadium is rocking, you guys are ready to go, and a player comes up to you, maybe minutes before taking the field. Hey, Trav, like, I'm really nervous right now. Walk me through what that conversation, if me and my listeners were in that hallway with you, what does that conversation sound like? I just would love to give some tools and strategies for that kind of in the moment conversation for my coaches out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't say, for the most part, DJ, I wouldn't say that probably happened too much. Maybe before, maybe like right before, a game or things like that. I would say the guys, whether I can perceive it or not, my job was really to sort of be there and maybe kind of try to read the vibe a little bit. And then it was more of a, what can I do right now just to either encourage or and what I found myself doing a lot, DJ, would be, so you're on the field during pregame warm-ups, and that's usually when you kind of see the reality sitting in a little bit for guys, and maybe this is their first call up to the national team, or we're actually in the World Cup, or whatever the stakes is, it's a big deal, right? Whether it's a World Cup or whether it's like you're playing for your national team, like, and even if it's a friendly, it's a big deal. And so it would be human nature for anybody to, to your point earlier with the wrestler to go, this is a really, really big deal, and to maybe to overthink I need, I better, what happens if I don't play well, right? Again, which gets us distracted with the future. So a lot of times I would just try to perceive a situation and you get these little moments during warm-ups and even in the locker room where you're just kind of going up to each guy and you're just like, dabbing them up or you're just kind of like, you know, giving them encouragement. And a lot of times I would, one of my go-tos with guys, especially on the field and you not really knowing what they're thinking about, you know, um, and knowing that, okay, knowing this guy, what might I say to this guy that I know might resonate with them? But a lot of times, DJ, I would go up to someone while they're down stretching. I just put my arm around them and I would whisper in their ear, um, and I would say, "Hey, where else would you rather be right now?" Right? You would immediately get this big smile, and they like look at me and like usually they'd just say nowhere,
Mm.
and I'd be like, and then I would say, just be the guy that got you here,
Oh, cool.
right? So for me, it was, hey, appreciation of the moment. Hey, you're here. Yeah, of course it's a big deal. I don't have to tell you it's a big deal. So if we're getting stuck in the nerves or thinking about the outcome, hey, let's come back to you're here. Where else would you rather be right now? And so despite all that pressure they might be feeling, they immediately go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm at the place I want to be. So now it's like, yeah, this is where I want to be. And then I just the follow-up is be the guy that got you here, is getting them to reconnect with what are their strengths, what are those qualities, what are those skills that got them to where they are today. They don't need to be anything different. Be that guy. And um and so just trying to anticipate what the nerves probably are, and then just trying to give little messages of reinforcement that just helped them connect with who they are.
I love that. When I look back, I mean, I'm 32, but when I look back at those, I remember those Fridays. And I was a football player, right? And I remember those Fridays where your stomach was turning and you were like, man, you were nervous all day. The school day seemed like it took forever. Like I remember those days very vividly. But when I look back as, 14, 15, 16 years later, I'm like, dude, those were some of the best days ever. And what I wouldn't give to go do that again. Trav, I'd do anything to go feel that feel again. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
some of it is like, yeah, I know you're sitting in it right now, but wait till you're my age. You're gonna want those feelings back, those pregame jitters back. That I don't know if I can do
yeah.
this math test because I'm so and it's hard because they're like, I don't feel that way, and I'm not 32. But some of it is like I would love to feel those nerves again. The older
Yeah,
you get, the
yeah.
less you feel those feels. Maybe when you have a kid, or maybe when your kid goes through some stuff, then you feel those feels, but they don't come as often, do they?
No, they don't. And I think to what you're speaking to again is like you crave the opportunity to go back and feel all those feelings again. A lot of times those feelings were it was those pregame jitters where you're like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm nervous. And now you're as a being older, you're craving that again. And I think that, if we kind of come full circle a little bit, again, it's like, so why would we ever try to invalidate those feelings that you had, the nerves, the excitement, the all of it. And you're like, oh, of course, like that was the good stuff. That's what made it. So I tell people all the time, like, listen, if you're nervous or anxious, it means you care. You care about what you're doing. We don't get nervous and anxious about something that doesn't matter to us. So we've all heard the expression, right? Pressure is a privilege. The Billie Jean King plaque on center court at the US Open. Pressure is a privilege. Like, because if you're feeling that pressure, it means you're doing something that matters to you. And what a privilege that is to do things that matter, that you care about, that evokes those emotions and those feelings. People going through life and there's no sense of purpose or passion about anything that they're doing. Yeah, they don't get nervous. They don't get excited either because it's like, and so when you feel that, so I kind of end the book, with that equation, DJ, V plus E equals P. And that V goes back to just validation, right? Whatever someone is feeling, our job as coaches, teachers, parents, leaders, just is to validate it, right? Because they're feeling it. And and I think there's appreciation in validation. Oh, I totally appreciate what you're feeling, which is also you saying that's totally normal and it's okay. But we don't stay there. Now we need to move to the E, so validation plus what? And the E is just encouragement. Because all right, now we're focused on the task at hand. So as a leader, I want to encourage you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now we're moving them to behaviors and actions. Hey, do you think you can do this today? Or what do you think you need to do today? Now we're getting them to think about execution, right? And I love that, encourage, E-N, courage. You're encouraging them to take action, to be action or behavior focused. And what is the end result, right? What's that equal? Well, that always equals progress. Doesn't mean we won the game or that they did amazing, but they did something, and that's progress. And then we can go evaluate, hey man, how did it go? What'd you notice? How do you feel? What'd you see? How did he? And then, but that's progress. If they did anything, that's progress because we moved that comfort zone. And so, and then it's just kind of like we just keep that cycle of progress, which is, oh shoot, I could have done more, but I didn't because I got distracted thinking about this. All right, we go back to, I'm validating those. Of course. Oh, I can totally understand why you would get distracted with that. Validation, validation. All right, hey, we got a game tomorrow. Hey, let's try to do this tomorrow or try focusing on this. Boom, encouragement. Boom, we go out and we just keep moving. We just keep moving that bar of progress.
Yeah, there's two phrases I love parents and coaches to say. The first is I believe you. So if
Mm,
they come to you with feelings, I believe that you're feeling that way. And then the other phrase I love hearing is I believe in you. And when you
yeah.
have a
Yep.
coach or a parent that can easily say, I believe you, I believe in you, whew, that's so powerful, especially coming from somebody of high authority. Those are two phrases that I would like all listeners to just bookmark because I think they're very powerful.
And you hit on a big thing, DJ, which is I think that probably most of the conversations I've had as a result of the book is people talking to me about the difference between belief and confidence.
Oh,
And I think you said it, and I think there's a big difference. I think belief and confidence are different. And I'm a big fan of driving beliefs and recognizing that I can believe in myself and not feel confident today. I can believe in my ability and not feel confident today. In fact, I've had a couple of, it's the preseason for Major League Soccer for MLS. And so as I work with different players, um, kind of the reoccurring theme with a couple of these players going into a new season is, hey, Travis, can you help me with my confidence? And yeah, so I'm like, yeah, well, let's talk about it. And then they'll tell me, like why they're not feeling confident. And of course, I'm there to understand and be empathic. And I think what's been really clear, DJ, is I've said with each of these players, they kind of tell me why they're not feeling confident. And then I always go to, hey, do you believe in yourself? And they're like, yeah, I believe in myself. I'm like, do you believe in your ability that you can play at this level? They're like, absolutely. I'm like, do you believe that whatever the coaches ask of you, that you're going to be able to embrace that and take on what's being asked of you? Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, do you believe in your resilience? Yeah. Do you believe? So I start asking all these things, and they're like, yeah, I do. I do. I do. And I'm like, so who cares about your confidence? Belief and confidence aren't the same thing,
Interesting.
right? Belief to me is based on experience. I've done it before. I've put in the time, I've put in the work, I've put in the effort. Of course, I believe in myself. I've done the work. Doesn't mean I feel confident right now. But again, if we can shift back to belief, because belief gets me thinking about all the hard times I've done it before.
Yeah, like you prove it.
Yeah, of course
Mhm.
I can do it again because
Yeah,
you've done it before.
right.
But I'm looking at a challenge that is maybe leveling up. I don't feel confident about it. But then I go back to, but I believe in myself because I've done it before. So now we can activate courage, which is, hey, believe in yourself and let's embrace the opportunity, embrace the discomfort and go for it.
Mm.
And now you're tapping into courage over confidence.
Oh man, that's cool. I think that's a great place to end today. Believe. I believe in you. I think those are great words to
Yeah.
say to your
Yep.
team because that's more powerful. Confidence comes and goes. Man, there's a lot in here. This book is great by the way, guys. Confidence is overrated while courage is the antidote and feelings make cowards of us all. I think we have some really great takeaways today on feelings come and go. So let's chase action, let's chase behavior because we're not always going to be confident and like you said, it's not a predictor. If you ever walked into a test feeling really confident and had a bad score, yeah, probably, and vice versa. So let's not depend on confidence. Let's instead chase action that gives us courage. Trav, this was a lot of fun. As always, you're such a delight to be around. I really enjoy your vibe and your wisdom. How can my listeners best support you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, they can clearly buy the book. If they really want to support me, just go buy the book on Amazon. Um, they can find me, I'm pretty much everywhere on, social media, Live Yes And. My website's liveyesand.com, Liveyesand. And yeah, no, DJ, I love connecting with people. And so if anyone has any follow-up questions to this and they want to reach out to me, especially parents, coaches, things like that, yeah, feel free to follow up. Um, I'm very accessible, so always happy to connect with people and help however I can.
Awesome. Good to catch up. Thanks, Trav.
Thanks, EJ.